I would like to thank the Faculty Development Committee for the kind invitation to share with you today. If you're wondering about the episode 2 in my title slide here, episode 1 is a little ditty I did on creating video mini lectures that some of you have probably heard before. But my topic today is the face of the professor. So I want to start out with a deceptively simple question for you. What is your face? Now, that sounds pretty zen, but that's always cool in an academic environment. But what I mean by this is, what is the persona, the identity, the this is who I am that you want to convey to your students? I believe that one big secret to an authentic and personable online experience is for students to feel that they know their professors as well as if they were sitting in the classroom with them 2 or 3 times a week, face to face. Now, I think about this a lot, and I look for ways to let my students see my face as often as possible through the lens of their flat screens. So again, what is your face? Now, according to my class evaluations and my Rate Your Professor profile, my online face can be summed up in 3 words. Dr. Sennett is tough but fair. And I'm very proud of that perception because I work hard to show exactly that face to my students. So I just want to acquaint you very quickly with some of the ways I create and maintain my online face. Dr. Sennett is tough. He runs a tough classroom. There is a disciplined atmosphere. It's a place where things get done, and they get done right. There is a definite air of college-level expectations. I expect your assignments to be college-level work, and I expect them to be on time. I expect to be able to read your writing. If it's garbled or indecipherably ungrammatical, then you get no credit. I cannot give you credit for what I cannot read. I am ready to make legitimate accommodation, but I do not show leniency. You don't get a break just because you asked real nice. Welcome to college. Now, this overall feel is reflected in several classroom policies that I make very clear to my students and stick to throughout the term. I accept no late work. Period. End of discussion. I give no extra credit. Period. If I give you information about the class through the syllabus, the online announcements, emails, etc., I will operate on the assumption that you know that information and will act accordingly. If you don't, it's on you. I've done my part. Dr. Sennett talks tough. Here are just a few examples from my syllabi and announcements. The time to be concerned with grades is now. Do not come to me at the end of the term with sad stories about losing scholarships, incurring parental wrath, or crippling graduation plans. I will sympathize, but I will grade all students according to syllabus guidelines. You will not be an exception. You are not going to fake your way through this class. This is a common attitude among students and an easy one to fall prey to. And let's face it, it works a lot of the time. But it won't happen here. If you do not know the material well, if you are not careful when completing your assignments, you will not pass this class. And my personal favorite, my rule in teaching and grading is that I won't give you any breaks that the average boss in the working world wouldn't give you. Welcome to life. Yeah, Dr. Sennett is tough, but Dr. Sennett is fair. His classroom really is a place where accommodation abides. For example, my strict no late work policy is mitigated by several other policies. The lowest grade in each category is dropped at the end of the term. Assignments are not due at midnight, but at 3 o'clock the next morning, giving them just that little extra time that they may need. And I'm embarrassed at how lenient, hate that word, at how lenient my grade scale is. But with all of that in place, at the end of the term, I will crunch the numbers, record your grade, go home and sleep like a baby. Okay, back to good professor. Though my policies are corporately firm, I do practice individual understanding. I am always willing to hear legitimate stories and consider the fact that life gets in the way. I know this. When any doubt is there, I will give my student the benefit of that doubt. If I am not concerned that the story they tell me, if I'm not convinced that the story they tell me is just that, a story, then I will assume that it is legitimate. And you know how this works if you've been in the classroom at all. You can see the stories coming a mile off. And you know the difference between a story and a sincere explanation. So in short, I trust my students until they give me reason not to. Of course, what counts as a reason not to trust them varies from case to case, and I am the final judge. That's okay, because Dr. Sennett is fair. Dr. Sennett is a real person. He's human, just like you and me. You may find this hard to believe, but I can be a funny guy. I look for opportunities to joke with my students, and I am not above self-effacement. I like to make fun of myself, and often do. I never hesitate to apologize to my students. I will even ask for forgiveness if it's called for. I've never gotten through an online class without some kind of snafu that was all on me. When that happens, I own up and I make adjustments if necessary. But most of all, I work at just being myself. I'm a pretty likable guy, and I take advantage of every opportunity to show that guy to my students. Dr. Sennett talks fair. Just one example, because I'm running out of time. This just happened in this past D1 term that I had to post this announcement. Well, I messed up royally this time. Somehow the fact that I needed to have assignment 5 graded and back to you before assignment 6 was due got completely away from me. I must offer my deepest apologies for this total mess. I know it has caused many of you a great deal of inconvenience, and I'm very sorry about that. I ask your forgiveness, if not your understanding. Now, there are many places in the online environment where you can show your face. I use audio-video mini-lectures in my class, and I use the narrative of those often to show particularly my fair, funny, likable face. I show both toughness and fairness in announcements, comments on assignments, the Ask the Professor discussion board that's on every online class I teach, and emails, Canvas inbox, etc. Now, looking toward the future, one thing I will be working to incorporate more into my classes is the use of audio and video in announcements, comments, and other places. This will greatly increase my opportunities to show my tough but fair face. So, that's my face. What's yours?